everyone, I just wanted to hop on here. I'm finally editing the video about what I'm planting in the garden this fall, and just as an update, nothing specific or exciting or anything, just a normal update for me, myself, and whoever wants to know. So just an update on what we're planting in the garden this fall. I realized that I didn't have like a beginning of the video, so as you can tell, it's much later. I've gotten a haircut and I have bangs now, and yeah, it's like, I guess like a month or two later from where I actually filmed this video. So I just wanted to hop on here, let you know a little intro, say hey, how you doing, glad you're here, glad you're back, and yeah, so we'll hop right into it. So first things first, we're gonna plant some more brassicas because our brassicas did not do well, point blank, period. They did not do well. We had a cabbage probably about yay big, and then we had one like this big, and yes, we did eat them. I did cut them, I sliced them up and roasted them. They were really good. They were dense little heads, but yeah, nothing too great or special, but they were edible and we grew them. The bugs really enjoyed them. There for a while we had cabbage worms, and I finally got rid of those by mixing Castile soap, a couple of drops of Castile soap, and water in a spray bottle. And what I did was just spray that directly onto the cabbage in the evenings, because it seemed that in the mornings I was finding a lot of cabbage worms. So by spraying that on the cabbage for about, I think it was like 2 evenings, we woke up and checked out there and went to go out there and pick worms off, and there were no worms. So that was pretty impressive. So if you have issues with cabbage worms, might want to try that. And it may be a more scientific or specific formula for the spray, but again, I just did a couple drops of Castile soap. We have the Dr. Bronner's, is it Dr. Bronner's? Mr. Bronner? Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. Specifically ours is peppermint. I don't know if that's had anything to do with it being successful, but yeah, a couple drops of that in some water in a spray bottle. Just sprayed them. So we will be attempting cabbage again. Hopefully we'll get some bigger heads. We have the Farrow cabbage, the same that we planted back in the spring. So we will be doing that again. As far as the other brassicas, we'll be doing our broccoli. Broccoli did not do well. I think it got too hot, too fast. However, I expected them to flower a lot sooner. Our summer was a lot cooler than a usual Tennessee summer. So our broccoli actually was able to grow, it grew slowly. So to be honest, it grew really slow. And the heads were not very big at all. Not very dense. They were kind of like sporadic when they grew. Not to the flowering point, but they were not dense, like a good broccoli crown. But yeah, I mean, again, edible. We ate them. We did cut the main heads off and had a few offshoots come off that were also eaten. So we put those in stir fry. I believe I roasted some just by themselves. Put some in quesadillas. So yeah, I mean, nothing great, nothing to write home about, but they were really good, what we did get. So gonna try broccoli again. We have the Monty variety, that's from Johnny Seed, and Eastern Magic, which is also from Johnny Seed. So yeah, those are the 2 varieties of broccoli that will be growing. I don't know if we'll order any different broccoli or cabbage. I think we'll just stick with what we have since we have so many seeds left over. And maybe next spring we'll try a different variety and see if a different variety works better in our area. So the next one, I don't know how to categorize. I don't know if it's specifically a brassica. I don't know if it's a, yeah, I don't know what artichoke I don't know where the artichoke goes in what family, but we are going to attempt to grow artichokes. I've actually got some in the grow station in there. We've got it in the seed starting trays. So we have 4 artichoke plants that have been started. They get really large from what I learned and from what I've seen, so I have only started 4. I want to give them plenty of space, plenty of room to grow. I don't know if they're going to grow well in the ground that we have. I don't know if they're going to grow well in our climate. I don't know, but we like artichoke. We really like artichoke. So, and the plants are beautiful from what I've seen. So I'm really excited about that, and hopefully they do well. So that'll be interesting to. That'll be interesting. Yeah. The next one that we're gonna start more of, because the not cabbage worms, because the squash vine borers got all of our squash. We only got, I'd say we only harvested about maybe 8 to 12 yellow squash, like the crookneck yellow squash, summer squash, and we only harvested, I'd say maybe 10 zucchini. And that was the Dunja variety of the zucchini. The squash vine borer, not necessarily the squash bugs, because we did have squash bugs. I did see them. I did rake off a lot of squash bug leaves. I did rake off a lot of squash bug eggs off of the leaves. So they were there, and I did see them crawling around. I did see some squash bugs lay eggs on there, and we did get those eggs off of the squash leaves, but they were not really the problem that we dealt with this year. The insect or the pest that we dealt the most with for our squash, that would be our yellow crookneck, zucchini, acorn, and butternut squash vine borers. They decimated all of them. I think that we only have, if you watched my garden tour video of late July, I posted yesterday. It's like late July, beginning August garden tour. You'll see this big blank space in our garden, and that's where all the squash and zucchini were. Again, yellow squash, zucchini, acorn, and butternut. Yeah, they really took those out. So, all that being said, I think we may either try a different variety next year, or mainly I think we're going to succession sow and succession plant the squash, all the squash, because I was watching on Roots and Refuge. Jess was talking about how she succession sows her squash to kind of prevent that time frame where the squash bugs and the squash vine borers, she tries to avoid that time period where they're hatching out their eggs and doing what they do, decimating your crops. So I'm going to try to do that next year. Hopefully that works and helps prevent those being eaten by those guys. And I think also we're going to try to implement more intersowing and interplanting, where it's not just one singular row of one type of thing, which I didn't exactly do this year. I interplanted flowers with vegetables, but I think that interplanting and mixing up the vegetables that are being sown within each other, within a reasonable amount or a reasonable state, I think that may help too. So, little experimenting, we'll just have to see. Acorn squash and butternut squash. We're going to try to sow some of those within the next couple of weeks to see if we can get a crop that we can enjoy throughout the winter. That was really ideal. I really wanted a lot of, I wanted a lot of acorn squash and butternut squash to enjoy throughout the winter. We love roasting those and having them with the dinner or putting them in soups or stews. They're just ones that we really enjoy. So, that's what I have so far that we're going to be planting. If you have any suggestions on what we should plant for our fall crop, throw them down there. Like I said, I've just been watching other YouTubers and reading articles about what typically goes in a fall crop, and it seems that brassicas and carrots. I forgot to mention carrots. We will be sowing more carrots. Our carrots in this most recent garden tour, you'll see that area was taken up along with the cabbage and broccoli. It was empty towards the front where the marigolds are. Our carrots, you know, our longest one was probably about like this big. And you know, a decent size. They're definitely edible. They tasted great. What I did was just chop those up and slice them up and put them in the freezer in a bag. So we're just gonna use those in soups and stews, dishes all winter long. So fall, they'll probably be gone by winter, but all fall long. So we're gonna plant some more carrots so that we can have some more come next spring and then start that cycle again. So yeah, that's all we have. I forgot to mention carrots, but now that we've mentioned carrots, that's all I have on the books for this fall. As I said, if you have any suggestions, please put them down below, and I'll take any constructive criticism. If I shouldn't plant some of these things, let me know. Tell me your opinions and tell me your successes and your fails that may help me. Again, we're in Zone 7A, we're in Tennessee. And if you are near and you've had success with some things and some varieties, let us know. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Bye.